Hey guys, welcome back to Real Ball Talk. It's Brett here with fellow sports commentators, enthusiasts Trey, Aber, and Webb. It's Friday. Yesterday was the first round of the NFL draft. Pretty interesting draft. We got Noel Wiggs back with us again. Noel, how you doing today?
I'm good, Brett. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Trey, let's just go ahead and get started. How do you feel after the draft? First round of the draft last night.
Brett, I thought there was a lot of talent displayed in the draft, especially in the top 10 picks. I thought the top 10 picks were really exhilarating and exciting. And really, I think the last exciting pick was the Cowboys at 17. After that, it got a little bit boring, but definitely a lot of talent displayed across the board.
Yeah. Webb, what are you thinking, man?
Yeah, I was thinking, same thing. Top 15 picks for me, I think, all could be pretty successful picks, all pretty exciting players. But then, things kind of slowed down, and obviously there's a couple in there that I'm not a big fan of, but, pretty fun draft.
Noel, what you got?
I'm not gonna lie, I turned it off after the 24th pick.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Why don't we? Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan, center.
First of all, it could be worse.
Yeah,
It could be Jordan Love.
yeah, it could be Jordan Love, correct. But I'm just a little confused at this pick. Last year we traded up in the second round to take Eric McCoy. Eric McCoy started all 16 games for us at center last year.
Fine center.
He's doing a great job back there. Started all 16 games, and Andres Pete and Larry Warford both made the Pro Bowl last year at guard. So people are talking about.
You're not a very big Pete fan, though.
I'm not, but
I'm not either.
a Pro Bowl
I'm not
appearance
either,
is a
but
Pro Bowl appearance.
Pro Bowl.
Yeah, and people are saying Ruiz is going to go to guard, but I just don't see this guy cracking in the starting lineup, and I don't understand the urgency to draft a center or any offensive line. Really, I trust our offensive line.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
agree.
I definitely don't agree with the pick, but I don't understand why we wasted our first round pick on him. I mean, we definitely could have just dropped back to like in the 50s somewhere and still got him probably.
Yeah, let me ask this: do you think? I'm just going to ask if y'all agree with me on this. I think that we could have traded down to get Ruiz if we wanted him. Maybe I don't think this guy would have gone in the first round. Maybe early second round. Early second round. Yeah.
Late in the draft rankings, though.
I
There was
still
speculation he might go first round.
had barely seen any mock drafts where he cracked the first round. I mean, I definitely do not agree with taking him with our first round pick.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised that we passed on Patrick Queen. I thought he was just kind of like I don't know. He just seems like a Saints linebacker to me.
He's just a good, solid tackle machine.
And I thought if we weren't going to go Queen, we were going to go Xavier McKinney, who actually fell to the second round and didn't have his name called.
That's my biggest surprising moment of the draft for me.
Yeah, I thought that I was really surprised that Xavier McKinney fell out of the first round.
That was not my most surprising moment. I think we'll get to my most surprising moment later.
All right, well, let's go right into that. Actually, what's y'all's biggest surprise of the first round of the NFL draft last night?
No, lead us off then if you're so happy to tell us about it.
Jordan Love to the Packers.
I'm glad
crazy.
I'm glad you brought that
Very good
up.
pick at all.
I'm glad you brought that up, Noel. If you're Aaron Rodgers, are you kind of pissed off right now?
Yeah, honestly, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, there's thoughts going through my head about asking for a trade.
I saw tweets from Stephen A. Smith last night talking about how the Packers didn't prioritize getting Aaron Rodgers the weapons he needs, and I kind of agreed with him.
And this is a team that was. Were they not? They weren't in the NFC Championship, were they?
Yeah, they were.
They were.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
got-
lost to the
Yeah,
49ers.
Has hardly any skill players on the roster other than Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Why would you not pick up somebody to back him up?
Well, Aaron Jones was pretty solid at the back end of the year.
Well,
I
they need
thought.
more receivers
Yeah,
than
no,
A-Rod.
I was getting there. Yeah, I thought that running back was they didn't need, but I thought that a receiver they definitely could have gone. They picked they picked Jordan Love at 26. So
I mean, I don't even think he's
Kind of,
first round talent.
that's just showing up Aaron Rodgers too. That's like, we're not going to win with you. You're not good enough. Let's just look to the future.
yeah,
I don't agree with.
Let's look to a guy that's never really proven that he has any skills to be competent in the NFL.
Yeah, I hate that.
Like, he's got all the tools, but he just makes the dumbest decisions ever.
Yeah, he had a good junior year, but then last year,
Yeah.
20-17 touchdown interception
Yeah.
ratio.
And his junior year was really good, but then last year he played, like you said, like terrible.
So who do y'all think that the Packers should have gone with?
I feel like a receiver or a receiver.
Yeah,
because when
for
Devonta
sure.
Adams was injured last year,
And
I
thought that
there are some no names that Aaron Rodgers was having to throw into.
Honestly, if the 49ers had not traded up to get Brandon Ayuk, I feel like they would have taken him.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, they still could have gotten Mims from Baylor.
Yeah, they could have gotten Denzel Mims, T. Higgins from Clemson, or
How is T. Higgins still on the board?
Yeah, I was expecting his name to be called in the first round for sure.
Another one of my surprises is the Patriots trading out of the first round.
You know,
That
Brett,
doesn't surprise me.
that doesn't surprise me at all.
I don't
Belichick
think they need somebody.
Belichick likes to deal the first round picks whenever he can. So
He's got like 5 picks in the second round now.
They do, though. I did see that.
And he's not. And I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback.
I don't either, man.
I think they're just going to stick with Stidham.
Or they'll try to trade for somebody.
People are wanting Jalen Hurts to be a Patriot, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think they're.
I think they'll sign Cam.
Oh, it seems ideal.
Happened by now.
Yeah. And
I mean, they may have been waiting for the draft to see if they would draft, if someone would be there for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're putting all their trust in Jarrett Stidham at this point.
I think they really like him.
I really don't see it, but you know.
Another.
You got to trust that coaching staff, though. They must see something on it.
Yeah. Another thing I was surprised by, which we already addressed, is Saints not taking a defensive lineman or linebacker, but
yeah,
it is what it is, unfortunately.
You know, I almost said this as my biggest surprise. Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 32 to the Chiefs.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a big one. That was because he's not.
He wasn't even a top 3 running back, was he?
I think he was number 3, Noel.
He was number 3, okay.
Yeah, I know they had DeAndre Swift and J.K. Dobbins, and then I think it was Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, I was surprised. First of all, I was surprised by the Chiefs taking a running back. Oh,
that didn't surprise me, dude. Because I think
I had a quick interaction.
They're going to go with Damian Williams to be more of a flex guy, I feel like.
Yeah, well, I
still feel like
just don't think the Chiefs are really – you know, Damian Williams is kind of that get-the-job-done guy. You know, he's not really going to be a franchise running back, but I also don't think the Chiefs are really looking for a quote-unquote franchise running back.
Yeah.
I don't think he was. I don't think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is like the best running back prospect in the draft. I think he's probably third. I think he's third behind Swift and Taylor. But I think he's probably the best fit for the Chiefs because I think he's more of a receiving back than those other two, and I think he's a big, powerful guy that can just make catches and then run after the catch. Better scheme fit.
I just think they should have gotten some sort of defensive player because that was their only weakness last year.
Yeah, I just think they're confident in their ability to put up 40-plus points every game with Patrick Mahomes under center.
Yeah, and I feel like they'll fill in the defense the later rounds.
Yeah. So moving on, I'm going to move on to a hot take. So let's get everyone's take on who they think the biggest bust of the first round will be.
Okay.
Webb, who you got?
Well, I personally think Justin Herbert is going to bust it up pretty good.
Wow, that's a good place to start.
Bold claim.
I think Jordan Love is an easy pick, obviously, but
yeah,
I think Justin Herbert they're very. I think he and Love are similar players in that they both have the tools. You know, Justin Herbert's very physically gifted. He is a cannon, but if you watched him play in college, half of his play is just him hoping his arm will bail him out for making bad reads and bad decisions. And you can't do that in the NFL. So if he doesn't make extreme improvements on how to actually play quarterback, I think he's going to be busted.
That's what we saw with Johnny Manziel going to the league, just relying on his arm to get get out of bad situations.
Exactly.
Did not work for him.
I think he's just going to rely too much on the fact that he was gifted by God with a monster arm, and he's just going to throw it into triple coverage.
Yeah, I agree, Webb. I certainly didn't agree with his field vision in college. I think that's one of his biggest flaws, and I think some of the NFL teams were worried about that.
I just don't like his throwing motion. He just looks awkward when he's throwing the football, to be honest with you. I just don't trust. I mean, he may have a cannon, but like Webb said, I just don't trust his arm to get the ball to the receiver.
I mean, with work, he can be really good for sure, but it's going to take a lot of work. I don't know. I'm just not sure about it.
I'm not going to say he's going to be a bust, but the biggest risk, I might say, honestly, like I love Tua, but he's a big risk, dude.
Yeah, no, I certainly wouldn't call Tua a bust, but I agree with you, Noel. He definitely is a risk. I saw an article somewhere. The guy hasn't played a complete season of football since middle school. So, the ankle and the hip definitely concerns me, and especially with the very unsturdy offensive line in Miami.
Yeah.
Another person that could be a bust, in my opinion. This is very irrelevant. Doesn't matter. He's an offensive lineman. But Mekhi Becton from Louisville.
Oh,
You don't like him?
The only thing is, he is. I've seen many things that say he enjoys to eat food, and people are legitimately worried.
Well, so I saw
Eddie Lacy did it.
Yeah, they had a segment on it last night. You know, when he showed up to Louisville as a freshman, he was 390, and his draft combine weight was 362, I believe. So,
Jesus Christ.
He's definitely a big guy, but his 40, I think his 40 was a 5.16, and that is just a refrigerator with legs.
He had a great combine. Or not a great combine, or just he had a great.
No, he did have a great combine.
He had a really good combine.
Okay, that's what I thought.
The dude put up an insane amount of reps on the bench.
Also, another lineman, I was surprised Miami took Austin Jackson out of USC. I feel like
that was a big reach. That was a big reach.
I think he'll be good, but 18 was a little early for him. I was expecting like 30 at the highest.
I think the only reason his draft stock is lower than the others is because of the whole bone marrow thing. I don't know if y'all saw that.
Oh, I saw that.
But I think so. He was significantly weaker last year, but I think he's probably as good as Becton is.
Well, let's go back to Tua for a second. What do you see his role being next year? You know, some people are talking about him sitting out the entire season for his body, and could you see that happening? What do you think his role is going to be in Miami next season?
I could see that happening, but I don't really feel like – I feel like Miami's going to want to get their number 5 pick on the field at some point, honestly, because, I mean, they're looking for somebody to bring money into them, dude.
Definitely.
They've not been good the past couple of years. I feel like he definitely won't start off the season, I feel like Fitzpatrick will start off the season, but I feel like he'll get a bunch of reps, honestly.
Definitely.
If I were the Marlins, I wouldn't play him. I mean, not the Marlins. My bad. If I were like Brian Flores or GM, I wouldn't want him to play next year. I think a year off for him is better. First off, he can learn under Ryan Fitzpatrick. Maybe not the best quarterback to learn under, but he's got a lot of experience. Plus, just give him his body more time to heal. And I mean, I don't know. It's a weird situation because I think Brian Flores he's a really good coach, and I think he's really kind of fixing the culture there. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play that much, but who knows? So.
Yeah, for me too, is just a big question mark, and I feel like people were debating the Tua versus Herbert, and if I'm at number 5, I go Tua. I think the risk definitely outweighs Herbert, but I think the reward, like Tua's ceiling, is way higher than Justin Herbert's ceiling.
Yeah.
They were literally comparing him to Drew Brees before the draft.
Yeah, and the dude's throwing motion is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
It is just so smooth. It doesn't make sense to me. I've never seen something so satisfying.
And they talked about the 5-year NFL left-handed quarterback drought. A left-handed quarterback hasn't taken a snap since Kellen Moore with the Lions. Or was it with the Cowboys?
Those are the Cowboys.
Okay. So my biggest bust, my take on the biggest bust isn't really the most exciting name, but I just don't see him fitting in this offense. Mine's Jalen Rieger, wide receiver, TCU.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was an interesting pick for me.
yeah. So I don't understand Jalen Rieger at 21. I thought that was a little bit of a reach.
I
didn't understand it when Justin Jefferson was still on the board.
Yeah, that was like one of my biggest steals was how the Vikings got Jefferson, and the Eagles right in front of them were plain as day should have taken Jefferson but took Rieger. I mean,
Yeah. So I thought Rieger was the biggest bust of the first round. I just don't see him fitting in Philadelphia. I think he reminds me somewhat of what was his name, Nelson Aguilar. And
Nelson Aguilar is an injury-prone guy.
So yeah, I just don't see Jalen Rieger fitting in Philadelphia, and they are a team that needs some help at receiver. Alshon Jeffrey's getting old, and
DeAndre Hopkins was getting old.
and Deshaun Jackson,
Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
no, what?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Well, my biggest bust was a guy we talked about the other day, not with his on-field ability, but his off-field ability. I was thinking Damon Arnett,
Okay.
quarterback for the Raiders.
Yeah. So, Brett, I had that written down as my biggest reach of the first round.
Yeah, he's a second. He's just a great player, but I mean, he quit football last year. Like,
Yeah, he
stepped
did.
away from Ohio State for a while. And I mean, I don't think he's first round grade or maybe even a second round grade.
I mean, whether he's a first round talent or not, he would have fallen to the second round. So they could have gotten him there.
But this kind of persona of Damon Arnett, who you're talking about, he just seems like a Raider to me, and it's hard to say not Oakland Raider, but he just seems like a Raider,
Yeah, but he also seems like a head case.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's gonna bring us to our biggest reach. So let's get everyone's take on that. So mine was close. So yeah, Damon Arnett at 19 to the Raiders, I thought was a big reach, and I also thought Jordan Brooks at 27 to the Seahawks was a really big reach. The linebacker to Texas Tech.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot about him.
Yeah,
but, I mean, yeah, I don't think he's first round talent. So
I thought. I personally thought AJ Terrell was kind of a reach by the Falcons.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
16. I mean, he's a good player, but I think I kind of put him and Jeff Gladney kind of on the same pitch mark. I don't know. I never saw anything that made me go, this guy's
I just think AJ Terrell is more pro ready than Gladney. Gladney's really undersized, but it doesn't really matter. AJ Terrell is just going to be the next guy in Atlanta that gets toasted golden brown on both sides by Michael Thomas.
Yeah. Because Terrell's flashed times where I'm like, holy crap, he's amazing. Sometimes he's played terrible, like in the national championship.
yeah, Gladney's also kind of injury prone. He's been battling a knee injury a lot lately, which also might have played into why he wasn't up there with Terrell. My biggest reaches were Damon Arnett, Ruiz, and Love. I just felt like those were three guys that did not need to be picked in the first round.
Yeah. Man, I'm just still shocked about the Ruiz pick.
I feel so bad for him. Like, he seems like a good guy, but I don't know why we took him.
I have faith in him being a good lineman.
I have faith in it too. I'm trying to trust Mickey Loomis here. Sean
Payton obviously had to see something in him.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw that quote from Payton. He said, "If we draft him, he's going to be playing right away."
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, Webb. So I'm not really mad about this pick. I'm just a little confused. Peyton said that, and we have Eric McCoy, Larry Warford, and Andres Pete. So are one of those three guys maybe about to get traded?
I've heard Warford's about to leave.
Yeah.
I've heard his contract's coming to an end, and I heard he's going to leave then.
I think that's next season though.
I think it is too, but I mean, maybe that's a precaution. I don't know, but
I don't know. I know we just re-signed him, but I'd like a Pete trade and then fill
For
in
sure.
Ruiz right there, and then try to pick up somebody else with the money that we lose from Ruiz next free agency. I mean, from Pete next free agency.
I mean, I just don't know why we didn't do that prior to drafting him because I still don't think he would have been a first round draft pick.
Yeah, to me, the only hole in the New Orleans roster is linebacker, so it's just got to be a priority from here on out.
For sure.
And that left the Ravens. The Ravens linebacker is one of the few holes on that roster, and they just got Patrick Queen at 28, which was a big steal.
That's a steal for sure.
Yeah.
That was
So
one of my biggest steals.
I wasn't very happy about that. Any names? I mean, we already talked about Xavier McKinney, but any other names y'all are surprised fell out of the first round?
DeAndre Swift, in my opinion, I felt like he was the best running back by a landslide. And considering the Chiefs took a running back, I just for sure thought it was going to be Swift.
Yeah, I think Swift is the most pro-ready running back. I just think, this guy's production in college was insane. I really like J.K. Dobbins.
oh, I used to, yeah.
I think this guy could be a big-time steal in the second round for somebody.
For sure. That he would be a good pickup, too.
Yeah.
So should we talk about what teams we think had good rounds and what teams had bad?
Well, before we get there, let's talk about our biggest steal.
Okay.
So for me, this one's pretty easy. For me overall is CD Lamb at 17 to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
When as a fan of the Saints and the NFC, I was kind of disappointed that CD Lamb was there at 17 and the Cowboys just snagged him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that, but I just don't understand why the Cowboys took CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I agree. They definitely have to fill some holes in the secondary.
Yeah.
I thought at that moment, I thought it was for sure they were going to take McKinney, but
yeah, I did too.
I mean, I think it's still a smart pick. Obviously, I mean, you're taking arguably the best receiver in the class, and you're trying to help Dak out more. And now you've got 3 viable receiving options for him.
I mean, you still got to sign Dak to a contract, though. That's another problem we got going on in Dallas right now. But
also, I think I mean, it's not that big of a steal, but Jerry Jeudy to the Broncos. And the only reason I say that is I think it's a steal for the Broncos because I expected them to go to the 49ers and pick the 4.
I did too.
And I didn't expect the 49ers to take a defensive lineman. I know. I get he's a replacement for DeForest Buckner.
I do think though, Webb, if Henry Ruggs hadn't been stolen by Vegas the pick before, the Niners would have gone Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, I don't know why you don't take. I think the Raiders are a team that wanted to take Ruggs with the first round, above Jeudy. I mean, as much as his upside is. As great of an upside as Ruggs has, Jeudy is so NFL ready.
I agree. Judy's route running reminds me of Julio Jones, but I just think Ruggs' stock was at draft time was higher than Judy's because of it. I mean, the guy ran a 4.27.
Yeah, the only reason why his draft stock was so high, I mean, he had an amazing season, of course, but the only reason why his was higher than Jeudy was because of his speed. And I mean, that got a lot of people's attention, I guess. So most people were gunning for Ruggs.
I was just expecting the Niners to take Jeudy because, I mean, they need to replace Emmanuel Sanders. And then their defense is already very solid, despite losing DeForest Buckner. I think Jeudy would have helped them more than Tim Longo.
Yeah, I don't understand. Even also having Joey Bosa. I mean, I don't understand why you need another defensive tackle that early in the draft.
Bosa.
That's right. You know what I meant. One of the Bosas.
Yeah. Little Bear.
Those Bosas and those Watts, man.
The Bosas and Watts.
My biggest steals, just because of the players that were picked in front of them, were the 2 guys from LSU, Patrick Queen and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
The Ravens should not have been able to get Patrick Queen, and with Eagles looking for a wide receiver. I don't feel like the Vikings should have been able to get Jefferson either.
Yeah, then they're just grinding here.
I had so that was one of the picks I had right. I was actually 8 for 10 on my mock draft in the first 10 picks, and then it kind of fell apart. But I just figured the Vikings would go with Jefferson. Diggs left, and they just hate us. So I'm sure they just wanted to take an LSU guy just to piss us off, almost.
I knew they were going to take a receiver. I just didn't think he was going to be there. I thought for sure the Eagles had him locked at 21.
And
Wow.
Judy going to the Broncos sets up like a pretty decent looking offense in Denver.
Yeah. I think they're looking really good.
Drew Lock, Melvin Gordon, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy,
Noah Fant.
Yeah, they're looking. That offense is looking a lot better.
And then another surprising pick for me was the Bucks taking a lineman.
Okay, yeah. Why did they trade up one spot to get that guy? They could have had him at 14.
I thought there was no way in hell.
Trade for it?
I don't know, probably a later pick, but there was no way the 49ers were going to take him.
Yeah, that was.
You don't even need him.
That was head scratch.
Your defense sucks.
That was head scratching to me.
I think they're just trying to protect Tom Brady because they don't need anything to happen to him or their team is once again going to just suck. Something happens to him, they suck.
Well, as of right now, their defense,
Still
you
suck.
could make a case for them having the worst defense, especially roster wise on paper in the league.
Definitely, but I'm just saying, I can see why you draft an offensive lineman because you're so scared. Like if we lose Tom Brady because of a sack or something, there was no reason to sign him to a big contract like that. So I mean that's probably just for safety, a safety pick there. But they definitely need help on their defense because their defense sucks.
Yeah, that was a head scratcher.
It is a really bad defense.
Yeah,
Defense
it's bad.
Terrible. Speaking of defensive players, I thought one steal was the Cardinals getting Isaiah Simmons at 8.
I just
sure thought he was going to go before that.
I figured he was going to 8.
Yeah.
It's not because of talent. It's just because of team needs at that point.
Yeah, it's just I knew so many taking quarterbacks.
Right.
Yeah. I still think the Giants should have gotten him instead of an offensive lineman.
I don't know, man. Eli Manning.
Thomas makes a lot of sense.
Eli Manning is like barely in one piece with that offensive line right now. And now it's Daniel Jones' problem.
Yeah.
I
I
figured they take Andrew. I figured they would take somebody over Andrew Thomas though for the line.
Yeah, I don't think Andrew Thomas was the best tackle in the draft. I know Webb did, but I didn't.
I think he's the most NFL ready. I mean, he's proven himself against really good defensive lines in the SEC. Obviously, I mean, I think Jedrick Wills is also really good, but I think Thomas is better.
Yeah. So let's go back to what Webb brought up a little bit ago. Let's talk about some teams that performed well last night in the draft.
Okay, hold on.
Can I go?
Noel's got it.
Go ahead, Noel.
If Justin Herbert works out for the Chargers, they had a very good first round in my opinion.
Yeah. So they went with Justin Herbert, and then they went with Kenneth Murray. So
Yeah,
I agree. I think
that's a good young defense.
Yeah, I think that defense is really good. Noel, you got Derwin James, Casey Hayward, Joey Bosa. That's an all around solid defense. I agree. Melvin Ingram, it's looking pretty good on paper.
That offense is still not bad at all.
Yeah, definitely. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, right. Austin Eckler is one of the most underrated guys in the league.
Also, Trey, I'm just gonna let you know I'm gonna keep Austin Eckler on my fantasy team. He's gonna be my keeper.
We haven't
Nice.
decided for their keepers yet.
Well, if there are keepers, he's my keeper.
Mine's George Kittle, so I feel good about that.
Austin Eckler is. Right, go ahead. Actually,
I think the Vikings had a good first round. I mean, I hate them, but they got a wide receiver and a cornerback in the first round. That's all they really
They
needed.
definitely prioritize team needs for sure. I was a little surprised they passed on Christian Fulton for Jeff Gladney, but Christian Fulton was a name that had kind of been dropping past couple days.
Also, speaking of cornerbacks, though, I was surprised the Dolphins had a good, moderate first round.
Yeah,
But
I
but
thought
I
honestly
don't
they
understand the Noah.
Noah
That's crazy.
Igbinoghene.
I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, I know, but
I know
mean,
he's really raw and he hasn't played a lot, but for how little experience he has, he's played really good.
I just
he's
thought
a freak athlete.
I just thought their second and third picks they really reached.
For sure.
There were some offensive tackles better on the board than Austin Jackson, and to me, Noah Igbinoghene was a really big reach. And I was really confused why they picked a corner at all. They have Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, two highest paid defensive backs in the NFL. So that was a little head scratching to me because this guy may not even play a lot of snaps of football next year.
I guess they just got to move him if you really want him to play.
Yeah, confusing.
Yeah, for me, I think they had the best first round. I think the Jags had a really good first round. They picked up C.J. Henderson, cornerback from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean, first off, they're obviously trying to build a team around defense again, like they did when they made the AFC Championship.
And they also got Clavon Chase on.
Yeah, and they got Clavon Chase on, and they got him pretty late, kind of a steal there.
Got him in the
That was a steal. That was a steal.
Chase on, I mean, obviously Chase on is just so good. He's just I don't know if y'all seen his spin moves when he's on the line, but he's so quick and just like elusive. You know, I think he's a great prospect, and I think Henderson has to get bigger. Because he's really fast and he can kind of hang in there covering. But
I like Chase on too. I think he needs to gain a little bit of weight, or I could possibly see him making the transition to outside linebacker.
Yeah, I can see that.
This may not be agreed upon, but I honestly thought the 49ers had a relatively good first round too. I know like the defensive lineman pick was not very well received, but they traded up and got Brandon Ayuk.
Mm-hmm.
I think that fills their wide receiver needs, and they replaced a member of the defensive line who was very good last year. One of the reasons their defensive line was so dominant.
Yeah, I agree, Noel.
How they were last year and adding a little bit more too.
I agree, Noel. I thought that was a successful first round as well. You know, they got beat by the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, obviously, and so picking up a deep threat like Brandon Ayuk should add some versatility to that offense. You know, they're trying to compete with the Kansas City Legion of Zoom, all those receivers that can fly. And, you know, Debo, Samuel, Kendrick Bourne, and Brandon Ayuk looks pretty good on paper, not to mention George Kittle, who's basically a elite wide receiver.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's really all the teams that had multiple picks. I mean, the Raiders did all right. I still think David Arnett was a reach if you do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's talk about now the teams that blew it, and I don't want to say the Saints immediately because that would make it seem like I don't trust our front office, but at the time of this pick, I was very disappointed.
For
I
sure.
gotta say I was too, because I mean I feel like the linebacker hole is much bigger, much bigger than the offensive line.
Absolutely,
quote unquote.
And it was just confusing to me, the depth we have on the offensive line and, you know, McKinney and Queen right there. I'm still trying to make light of it, but I'm struggling.
We've got a young safety in Marcus Williams. I know how you feel about Marcus Williams, Trey, but he's not a bad player. And we picked up Malcolm Jenkins. I feel like Queen was definitely the pick over Xavier McKinney, though.
Yeah.
But we didn't get either of them, so.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm still glad we didn't get Jordan Love, though.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, the team that blew it was the Packers. We've already talked about it, but why are they choosing the future over now?
Yeah, you made the NFC Championship. You're one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
And
get him some more talent.
It's honestly just I'm not a Rodgers guy at all, but it's from the front office, it just seems like a big middle finger to A-Rod.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, what else could that be viewed as?
What's that?
A big middle finger.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, I don't understand at all. They had some weapons on the board. in my mock draft, let's see who I had the Packers taking.
The Packers didn't have a pick. They traded for it from Miami.
No, they had the 30th pick. They traded. I had them taking Zach Bond, inside linebacker out of Wisconsin. So
Yeah, he fell.
yeah, he did fall, and
I saw he was projected in most mocks as a first round.
I thought the Packers would go defense for sure, or if not defense, get another weapon for Aaron Rodgers.
Definitely. But I feel like, I guess you can consider the Dolphins kind of blew it for the 3 picks they had.
Yeah, I definitely agree somewhat there, Brett. I think 2 of the 3 picks that they made were just kind of a reach, and it reminded me a few years ago when the Browns had 3 picks. It was Baker Mayfield, Denzel Ward, and I think the other one was David Njoku. And I was just really expecting a bigger splash from the Dolphins, a team that's trying to rebuild, than what they did last night.
Yeah, you can also argue. I know Tua. I love Tua, but it's a questionable pick to rely on a guy who you may not know if he'll ever take an NFL snap due to injury. So, really all 3 picks are questionable.
Yeah, and I just really expected them to take. I had them taking the kid from Georgia in my mock, the running back. I'm drawing a DeAndre Swift. I had them going with him, but I just not specifically him. I envision them going with a running back at some point. They need another weapon.
Who is that running back?
Jordan Howard.
Yeah, they just signed Jordan Howard.
Ever since he had that one half good season with the Bears,
Yeah,
he sucked.
Right. He was with the Eagles, right?
Yeah, he was with the Eagles last.
The Eagles backfield at one point was absolutely insane. It was like
Garrett Blunt.
Yeah, Garrett Blunt. They had Ajayi.
Yeah, right. Wendell Smallwood, Darren Sproles, Jordan Howard. They had 4 or 5 really good, solid backs.
Also, okay, now I'm gonna talk about a team that did not draft last night, but recently today, Laramie Tunsil was signed to a 3-year, $66 million deal.
Oh my!
For an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about with the Texans.
Yeah. Oh my!
That might be.
He was a Pro Bowler. He was a Pro Bowler.
It doesn't matter. He's an offensive tackle.
Yeah, and that is a little bit of an interesting signing. Laramie Tunsil did make the Pro Bowl last year, so it's just Bill O'Brien doesn't seem to be on much of a hot streak. I don't know if this will really help him with the fans.
But also, Deshaun Watson was the most sacked quarterback in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to lock that up for the next couple of years to protect Deshaun Watson more.
I think he's one of the best tackles in the league, and I don't think many people argue that, but I just feel like that's a lot of money to give him, especially if he gets injured.
And quick question on free agency. I didn't realize this until last night. Why is Jadeveon Clowney still a free agent?
He's asking for too much.
So is just no one going to pick him up? I don't see just how he doesn't play football next year.
I don't know. I saw something where he said Miami is really the only team that's talked to him, and they didn't offer him enough. So he said,
"Man, some of these players are just asking too much."
You're gonna be a millionaire anyways. If it's a difference between playing and not playing, just lower your asking price. It's just absurd. You're a millionaire.
And he's not lived up to the hype that he had around him in the draft.
He's definitely not. He's definitely not the best end in the league. You could argue he might not be top 5.
He was good at Houston, but he just had a down year this year.
Seattle was not a good year for him.
But he still never reached his ceiling in Houston, I don't think.
Definitely did not.
Yeah, Clowney, I think it's just a ticking time bomb ready. I'm just waiting for him to have that kind of NFL Defensive Player of the Year type season that we expected when he came out of South Carolina.
Yeah, I think he's got them. He just hasn't shown it.
Yeah. So let's talk about a quick preview for the rest of the draft. Looking at the best available right now, this is a really hidden, underrated, solid second round talent.
Yeah, I think that most teams drafted after I feel like after the top 10, most draft picks should have been second round talent, and there were a lot of players that I feel like should have gone in the first round.
Yeah. Just looking at some of the names: Xavier McKinney, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Antoine Winfield Jr., T. Higgins, Jonathan Taylor, Grant Delpit, Trayvon Diggs. These are some guys that can these are some guys that can help a lot of teams, especially for a second round type value.
Yeah.
Another guy you didn't mention there was Christian Fulton. I know you're fond of him.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how all these people just didn't get drafted in the first round.
Right. And Jalen Johnson out of Utah, I think, could be a really solid pick. I really like this guy. He's elusive.
Yeah.
He's really good in man coverage. I think this guy could be pretty solid for somebody with a struggling secondary.
So how do y'all feel about the Saints not having another pick till the end of the third round?
I mean, at this point, I feel like this is a solid class, top to bottom. We'll find somebody, but we've just got to start prioritizing team needs more. I feel like, Loomis makes some amazing deals. I really like the way he restructured all the contracts and was able to get Sanders and Malcolm Jenkins, but the guy just doesn't really prioritize team needs all that much, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was many ways he could have gone last night that he should have gone. He should have taken. Patrick Queen was just an easy pick. I mean, that's the missing piece right there. A partner for Demario Davis.
I couldn't agree more. I know this did not work out in Houston, but I feel like Sean Payton should be in charge of almost all team activities in that department. I just think Sean Payton should have. I just feel like we should have taken Patrick Queen. It's just that simple.
I did too, but I'm keeping confidence a little bit just because of our amazing drafts the past couple of years. We picked up Kamara. What was it? Third round that we picked up Kamara?
Yeah, it was.
Yes, he turned out to be one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Yeah,
Michael Thomas was a late second round pick.
That was the year before.
I would not be surprised, honestly, if we picked up a lower tier linebacker in the later rounds who ends up being a lot better than everyone expected.
Yeah, that class was good. It was Kamara in the third round, and then the first round we had Ryan Ramczyk at 32 and Lattimore at 11.
Also, didn't we get Michael Thomas in the second round?
That was the year before.
That was the year before.
That was 16. Yep. But overall, pretty solid NFL draft class. I think there are a lot of names still out there that can help a lot of teams, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the draft, and hopefully we're getting close to sports coming back for good.
I hope they come back.
Yeah, we need them back. This quarantine we're getting restless for sure. I think if college football especially is compromised, it's going to start war. So
yeah, if there's no college football, tough times.
I'm very tired of watching old sports games on TV, man.
Me too.
Yeah. No, have you seen the horse on ESPN? Guys playing horse. It is just such a joke. I watched it one time, turned it off.
It was like a bunch of people recording it on their iPhones, and it was just terrible. It looked terrible, and they had no idea what was going on.
So Noel, this is a little off topic, but we've all three talked about this. We want to get your opinion on this. So now that Jake Fromm, Tua, and Joe Burrow are all gone. Who is the best quarterback in the
Who
SEC?
did Fromm go to? I haven't paid attention.
Fromm
to
hasn't been
He hasn't been
drafted.
picked, but who?
I feel like he's a
that
third round guy.
Oh, didn't she?
I'm talking about out of college. So now
Oh.
that those three guys are gone, who's the best quarterback in the SEC?
John Rice Plumlee.
Get out of here.
I'm just kidding.
Get out of here.
I think it's got to be Bo Nix.
I think it's next too.
Yeah.
I just wasn't impressed with Bo Nix's stuff.
Well,
Like,
you're an Alabama.
He beat Alabama.
he had like 150 yards.
Doesn't
and like
matter. You got the win.
9 picks.
His receivers made some really good plays in that game.
I
His
think John's
defense
better.
won him that game.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of talent leaving the SEC this year, though.
So, Brett, do you think it's Bo Nix?
No.
Who is it?
Bo
I think
Nix.
it's Bo Nix.
Who is
I
it
think-
then?
Who his backup is?
Who even is Bo Nix's back?
I don't know.
It's
Tua.
Doesn't really matter, I don't think.
I think the quarterback order in the SEC is Bo Nix, and then it's Kyle Trask.
I don't know if I believe in Kyle
And
Trask.
well, I mean, who else are you gonna put?
It's
over?
not Kellen Mond.
No,
It's not
it's
Kellen.
not.
Trask.
And then third is
Miles, whatever his name
Newman,
is, for
Malik
LSU
Newman.
sucks.
John Rice
Malik?
Plumlee's in there somewhere.
Jamie Newman, Malik
Jamie
Newman,
Newman.
basketball player
Yeah, my
from Callaway High School.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jamie
Matt
Newman's
Corral.
third.
Matt Corral.
Dude, Matt Corral sucks.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, he's terrible. Who are? I don't believe in Jamie Newman. Wake Forest, he really didn't do. I mean, he did stuff, but ACC and SEC are a big difference.
He's still his third best quarterback, I think. Who else could be in the top three besides those three guys? It's not Miles Brennan.
It's not Miles Brennan. We haven't seen
Well,
the action.
he hasn't. That's kind of a no duh statement. He just hasn't played. But anyways, it was a good draft, boys. A great second.
We still got.
Yeah, we still got the rest of the draft to go today and tomorrow, and I guess we'll be back Sunday to recap the entire NFL draft. But that's going to do it for episode 2 of the Real Ball Talk podcast, and we will see you guys on Sunday. Deuces.